Okay, time for the second session of VisugXL. Here on stage 3, the next session is about Negotation by Tjorven Denorme. For questions, put them in the Q&A tab, not in the chat tab. Tjorven, yeah, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Lindsay. The virtual floor is mine. I'm seeing my own slides. I hope you can see them too. I don't see the question and answers yet, so if you have any questions, put them in there, and then I'll come back to the questions at the end of this session. Thank you for choosing this session. I know I'm not the obvious choice in this afternoon. This is about negotiation, not about technology. All the other sessions, I think your value will go up because you will become smarter. Here in this session, your value will go up because you'll be a better negotiator. So it's the digital edition. Bear with me, I don't see you. It's different to present in front of people on an actual stage than here, sitting down, looking at my own slides, not knowing where you are. So bear with me, it's only the second time that I do this. I'm going to talk about negotiation. And it's not a battle, I'll come back to that. And before I introduce myself, I'll leave you with a question you don't have to answer right away, just something to think about while I present myself. I'm Tjorven. You can find me on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. So if you have any questions now, put them in the Q&A. If you have any questions within a week or a month or even a year, you can ping me on those platforms. If you look for me on TikTok and Snapchat, you won't find me. I'm too old for that. My children say that, and they're probably right. Nerd alert, yes, I am one of you. I was an IT guy. In 1996, I graduated at the VIVES, so I was one of you. I worked as a developer for 3 years. Why is that important? Because if you had seen me then, you will know that I was your typical introvert, nerdy guy, not able to do any sales whatsoever. So sales is a skill that I learned along the way and a skill that can be learned. This presentation I do mostly for tech startups. So startup founders that have a technical background, do not have any sales experience, and they all come to me and say, yeah, I'm not a sales guy. I can assure you everyone is a sales guy. If you've seen me in 1999, you'll agree with me. So in 1999, I changed to sales in a company called Evosoft. That was a consultancy firm. There I had different business cards when business cards were still cool, like junior account manager, business unit manager, etc. And that's where, in that time frame, that I learned sales via books, via videos, courses that I followed. In 2007, in 2006, Ordina came and bought Evosoft. For me, that was the time when I reflected what I wanted in life. Not that Ordina was bad, on the contrary, but it was for me too big of a company to stay at. So I started my journey as an entrepreneur. Fast forward through that because there's too much on it to hold still with and everything of it. I started with 2 other colleagues in Menka. I always organized events throughout. First BizCamp, I was part of Pull Review, which is a startup where I was in the board. I gave sessions around startups at Microsoft Innovation Center. I organized the biggest hackathon of Belgium 3 times. The last time in 2019, for obvious reasons. In 2020, this thing died. Along with a lot of things in the event space. So that's why I'm glad I'm here at VISUG and that Lindsay organizes this thing, even though it's digital. I'm also part of the board in Check Room and in CodeKick, and in 2020 the name Imenka will cease to exist because Imenka, we sold the company to Talent IT, and now we're part of the Team for Talent team. So instead of a team of 40 people, 50 people and 70, we're now over 100 .NET developers at the Team for Talent. And yes, I keep doing this, giving talks about sales for non-technical, for technical people. When you look at sales, the first thing that you get is the sales funnel. It's a step-by-step guide into leads, prospects to eventually a customer. And when you Google it, this is what you get. And for me, this is bullshit. It's not the sales funnel that is bullshit, because I like the idea of the sales funnel, that there's different steps towards the end goal. The problem is how that it's shown in all the graphs. When it's shown in all the graphs, it's like it's just gravity. You put things in there and eventually they fall out at the bottom and they turn into a customer. Everything should look like this. It's upside down. You should push up. If you stop pushing after a prospect or after the first meeting or after the second meeting, they will just fall out and never become a customer. So it's about persistence in this thing. Sales is very about that persistence. And this session is about that last final step. You have taken a lot of hurdles until then, and this is the final step. It's about the negotiation, the little things on the contract between the yes and the no. I started with this title, Negotiation is not a battle. Why? Because when you see it as a battle, there's always losers. And when a negotiation goes good, you don't have losers. Losers, when you knock the other down, that's not good, because he will feel bad after the negotiation, and there's only a few services or products that work that way. Find it, fuck it, and forget it. But if you have a recurring business, if you want your customers to stay customers at the end of the negotiation and they feel good, you have to make sure that there are no losers, all winners. Yes, even in this fight where one has lost from the other, they still won because they both got a lot of money out of it. So make sure that at the end of the negotiation, everybody is a winner. It's like a marathon. It's you're not in the marathon necessarily in a marathon to win it. You're there to go to the finish line and go over that finish line. There's only one winner, and most of the people that go into a marathon go in there to reach the finish. Selling is about relationships. I always get the question, yeah, but your negotiation presentation, is it for B2B or B2C? Well, in the end, that last part, it doesn't really matter, because it's a human-to-human interaction. Even though if you work for, or if you try to sell to bigger companies, to Coca-Cola or Apple or whatever, at the end, you're in front of humans. And sometimes it's one-to-one. It's you against the purchase department or the IT manager or whatever the contact person is. Sometimes it's more people, but it stays a human-to-human interaction. So it's that human-to-human interaction that I have tricks for this afternoon. First part is selling, then I'll come back to at the end when you're on the other side of the table, when you are negotiating, when you're buying. So, is a doctor a salesperson? Let me tell you a story, and imagine if you go to the doctor, you go into the doctor's office, the doctor says, take a seat, and then he starts opening his cabinets. And he starts, let's start on top, and says, this is an ointment for your head. This is shampoo for your hair. These are pills if you have a headache. Then we go further down for a toothache, then to your throat. And then all the way down, he opens all his cabinets, shows everything that he has. And then in the end, he asks, okay, what do you want? Everybody will feel very strange if a doctor does that. But there's a lot of salespeople that do that. They present their product. From the get-go, they start selling their product and their service, how good it is, how it's made, what's the cost structure, whatever, without diagnosing the patient. You have to know what the other person wants. Does he have a headache? Is it his feet that hurt, etc.? So be more of a doctor when you approach sales. Ask those questions: the when, the who, the what, the where, the why, the how. The more you know beforehand, the easier it'll be at the end, at the negotiation. So you have some types of customers, people in front of you. So it's not only customers, it's people. People are wired differently. I'm different than all of you guys. So you have to make sure that you know what type of customer or type of person that you have in front of you. If you Google it, you'll get from 3 types of customers, 4, 7. They'll give them these fantastic names: the director, socializer, expressive driver. I made a summary for you with 5: the early adopter, the vanity, the price, the analytical, and the secure house father. Starting with the first one, the early adopter, that's the one that buys the newest iPhone all the time, wears the clothes from the latest collection, not from the previous fall collection. This is the person that wants to be the first and wants to brag about it. For him, it's those things that will tick his box. You'll be the first to test it. It's special. It's never seen before. It's a new service. So if you detect those things, you know you have an early adopter on the other side of the table. Vanity. Vanity is not to be confused with the early adopter. For the vanity, the make, the brand is important, but not necessarily the latest one. So he wants to drive a BMW. It doesn't have to be the latest or the fanciest one, just BMW. You have the Apple fanboys that don't want to buy the latest one. So that's vanity. Vanity, they want those exclusiveness, limited edition. They're very happy to have their testimonial on their website, tailor-made. Also, don't forget, in the vanity world, the eco-green, bio-organic people are also in there. Some are in there for the environment and for the world, a better world. Some of them are there and for vanity. Then price, that's the easiest to detect. That's the one who always wants it cheaper. So for them, a discount, a promo sales, the normal prices, but for you, I do something special. That's that one. Then we get over to the harder ones, the analytical one. That's the person who wants all the details before he buys your service or your products. So he asks to open the computer, not only how does it look like and why is it the newest. He doesn't care as long as it works perfectly and has the right parts in it. So we as expert recommend every component, proven record, tested, that will tick his boxes. And then we have the last one, secure house father. He's even worse than the analytical guy. Imagine that some bloke comes for the hand of your daughter. That's the secure house father. He doesn't even trust testimonials. He only trusts testimonials of people that he knows. So you have a lot of work convincing him. So from easy to hard, it's for you easy to see that early adopter vanity is easier to convince than the secure house father. But, and that's something very important, that's why people tend to not go to analytical or secure house fathers to sell, because it's hard. The other way around is it's always very long. Once you're in at the analytical guy or the secure house father guy, well, that's good because he's very reluctant to let other people in. So it's very good. Once you're in, you're there to stay. For the early adopter, you have to come up with new things all of the time. And the vanity will turn to another make once he thinks that brand is way cooler than yours. So the company profile is not necessarily the same as the buyer profile, but it will give you an indication. In banking, they're more analytical. In engineering, they're more analytical. When you're in marketing, when you're an internet company, when you're a startup, they're more into early adopter and the vanity. And beware, a buyer profile is not the same for every product. I'll give an example for myself here, standing looking at the sundown at sea. For my sweater, I'm price and vanity. It has to look good and doesn't have to cost a lot of money. T-shirt, I don't care how it looks because it's just a t-shirt. So price is most important. When I buy a smartwatch, I'm more of an analytical guy. I want to know how it works and what's best. And for sneakers, I might even be in vanity or early adopter because I don't even want the newest, but I do want them to be from Adidas. So depending on what you try to sell to me, I'll be more analytical or vanity or whatever. And that's where knowledge comes in. That's where you have to be the doctor. The more you know about me on the other side of the table, the easier it gets to sell to me and to get to the right points when you negotiate. The when, the who, the what, the how, the why, and the where. Negotiation, the 26th mile, that's the 40th kilometer in the marathon. You're almost there. And there's an important lesson I want to teach you is if people complain or have objections, those are buying signals. Don't be put off by objections that they make. So if they say to you, you are too expensive, then you should jump for joy. I know it's not what you expected, but it's true, because if I don't want your product, I will say no. If I'm not thirsty, I'm not going to buy a can of Coke. If not hungry, I'm not going to buy a bread. But if I come to you and I say you're too expensive, in fact, that's the same as I say, yes, but. Yes, but. And we have to fix this but, and then it's a yes. So be happy when you have complaints or their objections concerning your product or your service. How do we fix you're too expensive? Lower the price? Wrong. That's the first thing that everybody does. Your price is too high, so people lower their price. When they say too expensive, that means that the value is not in sync with the price. So in this case, it can be that the value is too low or the price is too high. For example, this is a trailer. A couple in UK had this trailer. It was a white trailer, and a graffiti artist asked them if he could exercise on it. He wanted to work on greater or bigger canvases, and he said, I want to pay you with 2 tickets for the local art fair if I can put graffiti on your trailer. The couple said, okay, it's now ugly and white, do your thing. So the guy put graffiti on it, and it was on there for some years until somebody discovered that this was an early work of Banksy. The trailer is now worth €500,000 instead of the 2 tickets that Banksy actually gave them. So it's about value and price. If I don't tell you it's Banksy, this trailer is worth not even €1,000. If it's Banksy, it's worth a lot more. What's the value of a glass of water? If you now give me a glass of water, I might give you some money. If I'm not thirsty, I'm not going to give you anything. If you offer this to this guy who runs the Marathon des Sables, he'll be very happy to give you €10 for that water. Last example, this is something written on a white piece of paper. If I write the same letters, it will be worth nothing. But it's not me that wrote those letters, it's Don McLean. It's the actual manuscript of American Pie, and it's worth $1.2 million. So what's the value? What's the price? If people don't want to pay the price, make sure that they know what the value is. So not immediately go to, okay, I'm going to lower the price. maybe you should explain the value a little bit better so people understand why you say this is the number. If you have a new app, your subscription is 65 euros a month. For example, the vanity one or the early adopter won't care about anything. He just wants the newest thing, but the analytical guy wants you to have this conversation with him. Yes, this new app will save you 30 minutes a day. That's 2.5 hours a week, 10 hours a month. Imagine that you're a freelancer and you work on a rate of 50 euros. So you win 50 euros and you pay 65 for the app. The analytical guy will work with you. The secure house father will ask for a month for free to see if it actually works. But you have to persuade people and show them the value before negotiate the price. That's the same when you work. This is a scene out of Suits. Suits is not ideal material for negotiating because that's where they find fuck and forget. They always make sure that the other one loses and holds a grudge against them. So for negotiation, not the ideal. But in this episode, it was very interesting. Brian, which is on the other side of the table of Catherine, was being fired because he had the lowest grades in the newcomers. So the lawyers were all in an open office with 10 or 15. There was a scorecard and he was the lowest, so he was sacked. But before he was sacked, they come to the understanding that in the open office, the 4 people surrounding him had the best grades. So on the scorecard, he was the worst, but he brought the best out of people. So depending on what parameters they look to, he was or the worst or the best. So for you, it's the same thing. When you negotiate your wage, that's important. What are the parameters that they use? Do they use the right parameters or the wrong ones? You didn't come this far to only come this far. As you know, negotiation is there. That's the last step in the negotiation. You took a lot of time and effort into this to come here and to know that, yes, this is the stage where we get the final yes. When negotiating, always remember that for the customer, it's the same thing. He didn't come this far to only come this far. The customer has too invested a lot of effort and time into this. So for him, this not going to the finish line, that will be a same catastrophe as for you. So this is a marathon. You both want to get to that finish line. We're at kilometer 40, only 2 to go. Both sides of the table want this thing to work. Important. Know all objections before you come with a proposition. If you only remember one thing from the whole of this presentation, let it be this. Before you start negotiating, make sure you have all the objections. I'll give you an example so you'd understand better. The other side of the table starts with the price is too high. So you can start with, oh, I'm going to explain the value. This is what I learned, or I'm going to lower the price. No, the first thing you have to do is anything else than a lower price is holding you back from buying, so that you know that this is not the only thing that is holding them back. Well, you say delivery is in 3 weeks, but I kind of need it next week. Same thing. If we deliver next week at a lower price, will you then sign the order? Make sure that you know everything. Well, you say that the minimum quantity that I need to take is 20. I only want 5. Okay, go further. If you deliver 5 items next week at a lower price, is that what you need to become a customer? Yeah, that extra feature is really needed. Yeah, I know in this example, it doesn't make sense at all, but it's just to prove my point. Go further. If we deliver 5 items with that new feature next week at a lower price, do we then have a deal? And go there until that person on the other side said, yes, that's what I want. Same for wage negotiations. your boss doesn't want to give you a raise. I know I'm shooting myself in the foot here because everyone of Team for Talent will now know how to negotiate their wage, but let them come and we'll see how we fix this. So your wage is already too high for your age. Is age the only metric? No, knowledge and experience is also important. So if I increase my knowledge, can I then get a raise? That's knowledge. You also need proven experience. Okay, you get my point. So make sure that you know everything before you start negotiating, and don't go into the details one by one, because then you will lose more money and more time. It's a balance. They want something, you want something. And like I said, if the balance is off balance and to one side, one of them is not going to be happy and it's not going to be a good relationship. So it has to be in some kind of balance. What do customers and the other side of the table want? They want a discount, they want volume discount, they want faster delivery, they want better quality, they want exclusivity, extra features, postponed payment, etc. Important to give to your customer is this. If it's good and cheap, it won't be fast. If it's cheap and fast, it won't be good. And if it's fast and good, it won't be cheap. So remember this when you start negotiating. That thing in the middle, that's where the bad reputation of salespeople comes from. When they start negotiating every single objection one by one. Your price is too high, they lower the price. Yeah, I want the delivery in 2 weeks, not 3. Okay, I'll do that in 2. And then at some point, they promise something that's not feasible anymore. Or production is not ready for it, or not ready, or software is not ready. This is where the bad reputation of salespeople comes from. They want something, you want something. What can you give? You can give later delivery, you have more volume. If we, for lower price, you need more volume. You can set a higher price, direct payment, or pay in advance. For startups, that's something important to consider. Even a lower price, but I have money in the bank directly and don't have to wait 30 days. So that's things that you can play with, pay before delivery. Also play with those kind of things. That doesn't cost any money from any side of the table, but it's kind of important. If you have his reference or his testimonial, that will help you get in analytical and secure housefather territory. So sometimes you can give a discount and he gives his reference or his testimonial or his introduction to other prospects. So you don't have to cold call or cold approach other prospects, but you have an introduction from somebody who is already a customer. Like I said, know all the objections before you come with a proposition. So in the example that I gave, okay, before we go there, draw your line in the sand. Know what you can give. What's your ultimate cost? You can't go lower. What's your feasibility for delivery? If you can't do it faster than 3 weeks, don't promise faster than 2 weeks. Same for quantity, etc. Know where your line is. And then, that's the only French I promise, that's only the French I know, reculer pour mieux sauter. When you jump from a standstill, you can jump 1 meter and the athletic guys amongst you will jump 2 or even further. But if you take 5 steps back and then run and jump, you can jump further. That's what you need to do. Go back with all the objections that you have and make sure that you then make a proposition that they can't refuse. For example, we can deliver 5 items with that new feature next week, but then we can't lower the price. For an analytical guy, this way work. Or if it's for the price buyer, if that discount is more important, we can give you a discount, but then the delivery stays at 3 weeks. Or even better, we can give you both if you have your testimonial on our website and social media. So start bargaining with everything, but everything at once and not one by one, because one by one you will lose more. Same for that wage. If I get a certification for technology X and I do an after-hour project for the company to gain experience, Can I then get a raise? Make sure that you know what ticks their boxes, what the parameters are, what the objections are before you make a proposition. It's human to human, so it's mind games. It's the little things that make big differences sometimes. For example, pricing strategies. If you go to Wikipedia, you'll find a lot of pricing strategies. If you want to know more about pricing strategies, I refer to Omar Muhut. He also has a link to Lean Square, where I also have a link. He has a masterclass of 30 minutes about pricing for startups. Very interesting, so check that out if you want more know about pricing. What is the right price? Is it the cost of making plus some profit, or is it what the fool is willing to pay? Is an iPhone 1,200 euros? Yes, because there are a lot of fools willing to pay that. Same for other objects. Price is 55 euro a lot. For a sandwich, it's a lot. For a watch, it's not. Same for 5,500. It's not about that number, it's about the value. Imagine that you have a service and you charge 12 euros per month per user, and you have to give them a discount. Value is proven, and they really want a discount. You can go two ways. This will cost you 12 euro for the next year, or it's 12 times 1 euro when you give 1 euro away per month per user, or you give 1 month for free, being that same 12 euros. But it's different. For example, when you go to that 11 euro, it'd be hard to get the price back up. Once you go down, it's hard to get it back up to 12. It will set the bar for others because they're testimonial, people talk, word of mouth. They will say, yeah, I got it from 11 euro. It'd be hard for you to sell again at 12, even though on your website it will say 12, because the value for your product or your service is now 11. On the other hand, when you give 1 month for free, everything stays at 12, your value stays at 12, the bar for others gets at 12, and you can even sell more by saying per new customer that you bring, you get 1 month for free. So that customer can get 12 months for free if he brings 12 new customers, which will help you grow your business. Beware of the percentage game. If you give 20%, from 1,000 euro, you give away 200 euro, which is okay. When you give 20% away from 1 million, you give away 200,000 euro. So it's not only about the percentage, it's about the actual number. That's a cool trick you can do. A lot of you people work from home, so it's something you can do between the next 2 sessions. You take a hot bowl of water, you take a cold bowl of water, and in the middle you place a lukewarm bowl of water. Then you put your left hand in hot, your right in cold. You wait a couple of minutes, and then you put both your hands at the same time in the lukewarm bowl. One hand will feel cold, the other hand will feel warm. That's what people do when they show things. This is no way to sell a 4,000 euro watch. When you try to sell a 4,000 euro watch, you have to do it like this. Put it in comparison with. You will see that a lot in the leaflets from MediaMarkt, in a website from Microsoft. Everywhere you can see you have 3 options. There's a cheap option, there's a expensive option, and there's the sensible one in the middle. The sensible one is the one you need to take. That's the one they guide you to. A lot of companies do it because it works. Same thing for 9. It still works. We like 59 euros better than 54. We'll buy more if we have a discount from 65 to 59 than to 54, even though 54 is cheaper. Stupid, we all know it, but it works. Sometimes reframing helps. What do I mean with reframing is this. It's 1,000 euro a year subscription, or it's a 2.99 euro per day subscription. 2.99 seems less, but it's actually more expensive. So sometimes it's good for you to go to a lower number. So if 2.99 works better, test that with your customers. For example, if you give a discount, then give a discount of €1,000, which sounds more than the €3 a day. Like I said, negotiation is not only selling, it's also buying. That's the other side of that equation. I was looking at the time. I'm still in the time, and make sure that I have some time for questions. So buying, that's the other side of the table. So you reverse engineer everything I told you until now, and then you get it. For example, make sure that you know what you want. Be that good patient. Do I want a low price? Do I want a fast delivery? Do I want a volume discount? Whatever you buy, is it a new kitchen? Is it a dishwasher? Is it a new car? Whatever, make sure that you know what you want. Is it the extra options that you want for the same price, or do you want a lower price? Make sure that you know that beforehand, before you start negotiating, because that will be what you need to do. Don't give all your objection at once. When people on the other side are not trained, you will get more, because you will have one objection, then he will counter, then you give another one and another one and another one until he runs out of things to give to you. So when you buy a car, a kitchen or a dishwasher, ask for that free delivery, that free installation, ask for free options. Usually there is more to gain than there was on the tag, even when you go shopping in Belgium. It's not only in Turkey that this works. But don't do this. Don't make a loser out of the other side, even though when you're a buyer. When you buy your car very, very cheap, I think maintenance will cost you a lot of money. They will get their money some way or the other. Same for your kitchen. If you get your kitchen for free or practically for free, when something's wrong with your kitchen, they won't turn up at your doorstep to help you, because you were that customer that didn't pay the full amount. So make sure that the other side also feels like a winner, and that. Don't be fooled by prices per month, the 9 at the end. Make sure that you look through that, even though people will try to fool you, and make sure that they have 3 options, which the middle option seems the most reasonable, but look further and deeper into that. Don't let yourself be fooled by it. So we're at the end, so I'll just summarize the important parts. Remember, it is human to human. At the end, you will have an interaction with another human. It's not a bigger company. Yes, it might be a bigger company than your company. If you're a freelancer and you want to sell your services to Sony, yes, you'll seem smaller, but at the end, you will have a human to human interaction. So for the negotiation, all those tricks that I just told you, they work. Know what his or her win is on the other side of the table. Is it more analytical? Is it a combination of price and vanity? And also know what yours, where your line in the sand is. Be happy when they say you're too expensive or have any objections whatsoever, because those objections are yes, but. So you have to fix those buts before you get a contract. And then gather all before you tackle one by one. So that was my presentation. I will try now to hide this and see if I can look at the questions and answers. There's only one question for now. It's marked as answered. Do I understand well that you advise that you throw all extra options for discount in the current negotiation in one instance, giving them one by one, to give as less as possible? It depends, but it's good to know. Okay, that's another question. Danny, it's good to know if what all the objections on the other side are before you throw in. You don't have to throw in everything that you have, but sometimes when they ask for too much, you can't do anything else. Sometimes it's enough to come with one counter. For example, you give in the reference and you stay delivery at 3 weeks, you stay the price at the same price. So it depends on the negotiation. If it's a tough negotiation, you have to give in more. If it's an easier one, it'll be okay if you just give in one thing. I hope that answers your question. Do you want everyone to become your customer? No, and that's where the things went wrong. When you have at the end, when you go to negotiation and you feel that this is not your ideal customer, something went wrong through that funnel. Sometimes you're too easy to get them through, or it's not your ideal customer. So no, you don't want your customer or any potential customer to be your customer. If there's no money to be won, if he asks for too much, like I said, if it's good, fast and cheap, no, you don't want them. So it's depending on that, but that shouldn't come to the negotiation. That should become clear in the way to on your sales funnel that this is not your potential customer. The sooner he falls out of that funnel, the better, because if he goes to the end, he will take a lot of time from you, a lot of effort from you to then not become a customer. So make sure that you filter it out throughout your process in the filter. If you see that a lot of customers come to the end, or potential customers, and they don't have the money or are not the ideal customer, something is wrong through your sales process and should be fixed. Any other questions from the audience? If you have any question, you can put them in Q&A. I hope it was clear enough. If you have any questions later today or tomorrow or later, like I said, you can ask me via LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, etc., not TikTok and Snapchat. So I'll leave it open. Okay. Is it worth to pick up the negotiation after a failed negotiation? If the customer is worth it, yes. Sometimes, for example, in that extra feature question, imagine that you have an app, you go to a customer, you think this is the ideal customer for me, but he says, I want that extra feature. And you don't have that extra feature. Well, be honest with that customer, say, I don't have that extra feature. Then if 5 of your customers ask for that feature, build it, and then go back to those customers with, remember me, I was here with the app. You said that you would buy the app if we had that extra feature. Well, guess what? We have that extra feature. And then you come back when you have that feature. So yes, you can go back after a failed one, as long as you're being honest in that negotiation and that people have not closed the door entirely on you. Are there any cultural differences to consider? Yes, of course. My background is mainly in Belgium, in Flanders, but yes, of course, even cultural and more than cultural differences. If you talk to a marketing manager and he has a degree in marketing, or you talk to an engineer, that's different. So people are different, and culture is one of those aspects of a person. And I can imagine if you do work with India or with Romania or with the US, for that matter, that there are cultural differences, things that you need to consider and that you learn when you go along. I don't have a script for what to do with Indians or with Americans. It's something you need to pick up and look for yourself. But certainly a cultural aspect is one of the aspects of the person on the other side. Any more questions? No? Lindsay?
There are 2 questions still.
Okay, yeah, I have to scroll down. Okay. How would you describe your favorite negotiation? Favorite negotiation is when for a sales guy, it's easy when there's no objections, of course, because that's the best way to do it. But the most fun as a sales is when it's hard, and then when you come out at the end. So it's not that goal that you make, which is just a tap in. It's that goal that you make when you run over the whole field and then you score at the end. So for me as sales, it's that difficult one that you wheel in at the end. And then another question, does it take a different approach in partnership for co-creation within an ecosystem? Bart, can you elaborate more, because that's a hard question for me. I don't exactly understand what you're trying to ask. I don't see a clarification. Any other questions? I'll be happy to go into it with Bart on in the chat if he feels like it afterwards. Okay, Pieter Jan, hey. How would you sell a new product, something for which value is not yet easily measured, just persistence? Well, that's where for pricing point, I refer to Omar Mahout, because yeah, what do you charge for something that people don't want, that they don't want, or they don't know what to? If you sell a new car, yeah, there's barriers between what you can sell it. You can't sell it for 150,000 euro, or you have to be the fastest, whatever. So for a new product, you need to know if they have that pain. Be the doctor. Your product solves something. It solves a problem. Make sure that you know where the problem is and if the people have the problem. Are they thirsty? You can sell your kind of Coke to them. If they're not thirsty, you can't. So make sure that you know if your product has a value, and value is in does it solve a problem, and who has that problem. Another question. Working together on a new platform, for example. Yeah, if you work together with people and then negotiating with those people, it's important to know what their win is, because you're both in there. You don't want to lose. You make sure that it's valuable for both of you. When you're really co-creating and it's a real partnership, open communication works best. You don't have to be the sales that lies and deceits. It's quite the contrary. The more you're open about it, the better it will work in your partnership and your co-creation of your ecosystem. So if you build a new platform together, you both have a gain at the end for that new platform, I presume. So put your cards on the table, both of you, at the same time. I hope this answers your question. Other questions? We still have time, so feel free.
I think there are no questions anymore, because there is a bit of a delay.
Yeah, I don't see any more coming in. If they have any questions, feel free to ping me on any social media after this.
Okay, thank you, Tjorven, for giving us negotiation tips.
I hope it was valuable. So anyone who wants a bigger wage, start negotiating tomorrow.
There is a question popping in.
Okay, from Paul. In software development, there is certainly a huge pre-sales cost to consider. Do you invoice customers for this cost, or is it obvious you try hard to make a standard frame? Yeah, that's true. In software development, the pre-sales, the thing there is, and that's the question, in your sales funnel, try to make sure that your filter is so right that you know at the end that the scoring percentage is high. But for customers, sometimes it helps to be open and say, this is a lot of cost for us to start with. Can you can we invoice some of it? You'll be astounded how many customers will say yes to a certain invoice beforehand because they really want to work with you and they know that your time is valuable also. So I think it's feasible to invoice, but make sure that you have an open communication. Start an invoice just to start an invoice, that it's clear why there's a pre-sales cost to it. Then Jonas, I have a project running about queue lines in amusement parks, but don't feel like they need it because they also have one. Is it worth to try? That's the beginning of your sales funnel. You don't go to negotiation right away. It's the beginning. It's market research. Do they have any pain? They will not buy your pills if they are not in pain. If they don't have enough pain, they won't buy your pills. And that's what you need to detect now. If they're not in pain, you won't be able to sell. If they are in pain, then you have to go further in your sales funnel until you know what it's worth for them, how much are they willing to pay, etc. But I don't feel like they need it. That's the beginning of your funnel, and you won't come to negotiation at the end. I hope that answers your question. Okay. Lindsay, do you see questions coming in or?
No,
Okay.
I don't see any anymore.
I see that people are leaving the room, well, digitally then. So they're
Okay,
taking
then.
a copy for the next session.
Okay, then we can close this session. Thank you for your presentation.
With pleasure. I hope the rest of the day goes well. Have fun, guys.